Well, hey friends, and welcome back. Today, I want to share with you 13 tiny habits that can boost your mental health. We all experience firsthand just how important our mental well-being is, but often the advice on how to improve it can be quite vague. So today, I want to get a bit more specific than just eat healthy, exercise, and sleep. Those are all good things, but maybe not the most actionable. Instead, I want to talk about some easy, practical habits that I practice on a daily and weekly basis that I find really make a difference. Of course, as we get into this, I want to be clear, mental health and mental well-being is incredibly personal. So these are all things that I do regularly and benefit greatly from, but please be sure to evaluate them for your own life. All right, but now I want to get right into these tips, these habits that can help boost your mental health, and start with number 1, which is to add a fruit or vegetable to every meal. It's no secret that fresh fruits and vegetables are a great source of a wide variety of vitamins and minerals and are foundational to a healthy diet. But most of us aren't getting nearly enough of them. In fact, according to the CDC, only 1 in 10 adults are eating enough fruits or vegetables, which honestly is a little mind-blowing. That's most of us. So one small way that I like to increase my daily fruit and vegetable intake is just to ensure that with every single meal that I eat, I'm consuming at least one, ideally more, but at least one serving of a fruit or vegetable. And if my meal doesn't naturally include them, I'll sneak them in there. I'll have a sliced up apple or orange or grapefruit with my lunch, a side of peas or broccoli with my dinner, or a snack of carrots and hummus. Of course, this tip isn't going to help you magically meet your daily goal fruit and vegetable intake, but it's important that we begin somewhere, and this can be a great way to get started. But now continuing on, our second tip is to take a 15-minute post-work walk outside. This is a habit that I've really started developing over the past few months, and I found it to be a real game changer. Of course, the benefits of spending time outdoors and getting your body moving are well documented. It helps boost your mood, reduces stress, and can make you feel calmer. So walks outside at any time can be incredibly helpful, but I especially love them at the end of a workday, because not only do you get to enjoy all of the benefits that we just mentioned, but on top of that, they can be a great chance for your brain just to fully process the day, to unwind, to reflect, and it creates a sort of mental buffer that can help ease the transition in your brain as you go from working to resting. It doesn't need to be long, just 10 or 15 minutes, but trust me, this is one of those ones that you'll be able to feel the impact of right away. Okay, then number 3 is to learn to love silence. Time for a quick moment of honesty here. This is one that I'm personally really working on right now. I think we all have just seen and felt that the volume of our world right now is turned up to max. We have so many voices constantly coming at us from a million different directions, and often we're adding to that by always having a podcast or a show or music playing in the background. And all of that can be a lot for our brains to take in and to process and to work through. And so it's important that we take time to give our minds and our senses a bit of a break. So if you're always listening to something in the shower or on walks while cooking or driving, why not just see what it's like to have nothing on? Press pause, take a break, and what you'll find is that that silence really encourages mindfulness. It can calm racing thoughts and improve our concentration and focus. As someone who's working on it right now, I'll tell you, this is one of those things that's simple, not easy, but it's worth it. Then 4 is a really practical one, and that's just to do a 10-minute reset. Our surroundings often affect us more than we think. It can be difficult to concentrate or to focus when our surroundings are messy. Not only that, but clutter in our homes and in our lives can increase our levels of stress and anxiety without our even realizing it. So one easy habit to keep messes at bay is a 10-minute reset. The way this works is exactly how it sounds. Just set a timer or guesstimate, and then spend 10 minutes tidying up as much as you can in that period of time. I'm telling you right now, you'll be surprised by just how much you're able to get done. By practicing these short resets regularly, it's a great way to make sure that messes don't pile up. I'm a big fan of the saying, tidy home, tidy mind, and this habit is just one small way that you can accomplish that. But then 5 is to make time for friendships. Relationships really are just so important to our well-being. According to the Mayo Clinic, adults with strong social connections have a reduced risk of many significant health problems, including depression. And again, this is one that we all experience too. The support and comfort of close friends and family can make all of the difference during difficult times. But when life gets busy or we experience big life changes like getting married, having kids, moving, or switching jobs, it can be easy to become isolated. And so I really want to encourage you, even if you're busy or you have a lot going on, find the time. Maybe you need to meet that friend for coffee before going to work. Find time between meetings to get some lunch together, or even just find someone to run errands with. The time that you spend nurturing friendships and relationships really is an investment that reaps a return far greater than what you put in. All right, but then 6 is a bit of an unusual one, and that's just to give yourself better options. The context for this one is that giving options is a really common parenting technique, and it helps kids feel like they have a bit more of a sense of power and control over what they do. So do you want to use colored pencils or to paint today? But I find that it can be really helpful for us as adults too. Often we tend to narrow down our choices so much that we kind of box ourselves into a corner. It's either I work out today and go hard at the gym, or I don't work out at all. But instead, by just giving ourselves better options, we can regain that sense of control and the freedom that choice brings, while still making decisions that are going to benefit us long term. So instead of your options just being, am I going to work out or not work out, maybe instead you need to give yourself the choice of, okay, am I going to do cardio training or strength training today? Both are great options, and depending on how your body is feeling in a given day, one might be a better fit than the other. And of course, working out is a great example of how this can be applied, but it doesn't need to be limited to that either. You can also give yourself choices for how you want to save money or to eat healthier, and a whole variety of other things. So really just try to think through how you might be able to use giving yourself better choices as a tool to help you reach your goals. Then 7 is a quick one, and that's just a step away. Step away from the situation, the conversation. Some environments just aren't productive, so it can be good to know when to take a step back. Of course, there is also a time to lean in and to work through the discomfort as well, but sometimes the timing just isn't right for that. The conversation won't be beneficial, or it's just going to escalate. And in times like that, it's best just to remove yourself from the situation for the time being. Take that time to cool off, to calm down, and when you're ready, and if you think that it would be productive for you to return, you can do that then. The next 8 is to invest in your spiritual life. Now, as a Christian, this is something that plays a huge role in my personal well-being, so I don't want to gloss over it. Spending time alone with God in prayer or reading scripture, something that I found to have such an incredibly calming and restorative effect. So something that I like to do daily is to spend 15 to 30 minutes reading my Bible, spending time in prayer and journaling. I call it my quiet time, and I find that I always get so much from it. But whether you're a Christian or not, I don't want to assume that all of you are, but again, I'm just speaking from my own experience here. But having some type of quiet time, whether you want to read something inspirational, to meditate, just to sit in silence, having some type of quiet time, it can be such an incredibly powerful way to start the day mentally and emotionally. Okay, but then on a bit of a lighter note, 9 is to set a bedtime. I think we all kind of know this is a great, really easy way to make sure that we're getting the sleep that we need. And I would venture to say probably most of you have one of these, at least loosely. But here's the thing that I found that I think is really important. A lot of us just aren't consistent with them. And so the moment a fun sounding event or activity comes up, we quickly just forget about the bedtime. We say that we'll worry about sleep later. Of course, I'm not trying to tell you not to have fun and that you need to go to bed at the exact same time every single night. But I do want to share with you a piece of advice that's been key for me in learning how to break the rules of my bedtime well. Whenever you need to move your bedtime, either forward or backward, try to make sure that the time that you're actually going to sleep is within 1 to 2 hours of your regular bedtime. And that way, it will be so much easier for your body to bounce back than if you change your bedtime by over 3 hours. Because any change beyond those couple of hours, and we really begin to mess with our body's natural circadian rhythm, which means that you're not just going to be messing up your sleep for that one night, but for several beyond that, as your body slowly has to adjust back. So set a bedtime for yourself, and then to the extent that you can, try to make sure that you're always staying within 2 hours of it. But moving on, 10 is to do something creative. Researchers have found that engaging in daily creative tasks can increase our happiness and overall positive emotions. Plus, there's nothing quite like a creative project to get you out of your head and swirling thoughts and into your body and the project that you're working on. When you reach that state of flow, there's something incredible about the serenity and peace that you experience. You know, it's funny, the other day my mother-in-law was telling me about how sometimes she just gets this urge to do an emergency craft, is what she calls it, whenever she's feeling a bit stressed or anxious. I'll confess, I did laugh a bit when I first heard her talking about it. Just something about that name, an emergency craft, sounds so funny. But the more I thought about it, the more it just made total sense to me. Sometimes when we have a lot going on, it's nice just to be able to dive into a creative project and kind of get lost in it. It can be such a great way to de-stress and to relax. So honestly, maybe I need to start doing some emergency crafts more. But whether you want to go the crafting route or do something else entirely, I highly recommend incorporating doing some type of creative activity into your daily and weekly schedule. So maybe you want to try learning how to watercolor, to dance, to play music, to practice woodworking, to do a paint by number, or maybe to build something. The options are endless. I would just say pick something that you want to try and start. But then 11 is just to not let the sun set. And this one comes from a great piece of advice in the Bible, and that's to not let the sun go down on your anger. I've really found that there's just so much wisdom in this. Because the truth of the matter is, conflict is just a natural part of being human. We all have experienced it and will experience it at different points in our life. But if you find yourself angry or frustrated, my encouragement is just don't let it linger. Holding on to things and letting it fester really is just a recipe for misery. So do your best to resolve the situation in as much as possible. Ask for forgiveness where you need it and forgive freely as well. Holding on to anger, to bitterness, to resentment just isn't productive. So do your part and then move on. Then we have 2 left here. Number 12 is to give yourself the night off. We've already touched on the importance of relationships. They're vital, but some of us have so many relationships that it can be hard to find time to rest in the midst of all of the social activities that we have on our calendars. And that is a classic recipe for burnout. So our goal really should be to find balance. Yes, we want to invest in relationships and to spend time with the people that we love, but it's also important that we carve out time in our schedules to rest. One easy way that Christopher and I have chosen to do this is just to make sure that as we're planning out our week, we're leaving at least 2 nights free in our schedules where we don't have any social commitments or activities planned. We use that time to intentionally rest, to recharge, and to spend time with each other. This is something that we've been doing for about 6 months now, and I found it to make a tremendous difference for us. Before, we would have a tendency to pack out our calendar. We always were on the go, always doing something, always having someone over. And it's been so nice just having that time every single week that I know we can rest and to relax. So maybe it's 1 night a week, 2, or maybe even 3 or 4 if you're a bit more introverted. Make sure that you're giving yourself some time off and that you're not going constantly. And finally, let's end this off with number 13, and that's to confide in someone you trust. It can be all too easy to get stuck in our own head or to spiral when we keep everything in. There really is so much clarity and perspective that comes when we express our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, and what's going through our head. So if you find yourself just holding it all in, I really want to encourage you to find a friend, a family member, or a spouse, or even a therapist who you can talk through what's going through your mind. With day-to-day worries and concerns, friends and family can be an amazing support. I know literally last week, Christopher and I had a conversation of something that had been weighing on my mind that the moment I said it out loud, he was able to immediately comfort me, and I felt so much better after that conversation. So don't discount the impact that conversation with friends and family can have. But it's also so important that we know when it's time to get help. At times, we all need outside support, so don't be afraid to reach out to a therapist if you need one. I've done therapy in the past to work through different things that I was struggling with, and it really made a huge difference. A therapist can help equip you with new skills, and they're trained to help you be able to better deal with, to cope with, to manage the problems that you might be experiencing. And you can find one either locally or through a service online like BetterHelp. But if you find yourself struggling with your mental health, I highly recommend reaching out. It really is so worth it. All right, but that's it. Those are 13 tiny ways that you can boost your mental health. I really hope that this has given you some ideas and inspiration on practical ways that you can just improve your overall well-being. But now I would love to know, what is one thing that you're either doing currently or want to start doing to improve your mental health? I would love to hear what that is, so be sure to let me know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram, I'm at Ashlynne Eaton on there. Until next time, friends, I am wishing you all an incredible day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!